All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Barn episode. This is a really special one. So we have Wes and Eric from Goat Authentics. I am Frank from Vitrine, and our special guest today is from Pristine Auctions, Jared Kavlie. Jared, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time talking to us today.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, so for the people that don't know, which would be crazy if you're a collector and you don't know what Pristine Auctions is, but why don't you give us a little intro on yourself, your background, maybe even before Pristine, and how Pristine came about.
Absolutely, yeah. So I started as a collector of sports cards. Still dabble with them, but my love for collecting transitioned pretty early on from sports cards to autographs. So I was born and raised out here in Phoenix. That's where our home base is. I was kind of introduced. I figured out spring training, and that's where it all started. Some of the facilities out here for spring training, if you learn the tips and tricks, pretty accessible to get to the guys. So
Sure.
All of that lunch money I kept spending on sports cards, I kept getting frustrated that I felt like I never got any of it back. I don't know if I was extremely unlucky or a lot of people are nodding their head being like, yeah, I'm in that same position. But I got frustrated. I learned that, man, I could get these guys to sign these cards. Now I have something. So took that collection, got it all signed, accumulated a whole lot of autograph stuff. But it was a little too special to let go of, so I really didn't sell anything for years, but ended up with 20, 30 Tony Gwynns. And now I'm like, all right, I don't need 20 or 30. So I started trading, started selling in other marketplaces. And then in 2010, talking with my wife, I quit my job that I was in at the time to just try to do autographs full time. I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I knew I could at least make enough flipping certain autographs and just kind of playing around with it that I could at least make what I was making in my job. And I'm like, I don't know where this is going to go. Well, in 2010, just had a conversation with my wife and I was like, look, I sell with some of these other auctions. I kind of do and don't like what each of them do. What if we try it and kind of do our own? And at that time, I was, I'm entrepreneurial. I had all kinds of ideas. So it was kind of like, she's always very supportive. It was like, all right, yeah, whatever. Let's give it a shot. So that was in 2010. And that's when Pristine Auction started. So we started it out of an extra bedroom in the house. And, it grew kind of pretty rapidly from there from 2010 till now. So that's the story.
Wow, that's incredible.
So still a collector at heart for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it about other auction houses that you saw that you felt like you could do a better job of, or just something that they were just missing completely and you were like, why aren't people doing that?
Yeah, there are a few distinct things I remember, like obviously I won't say specific names, but there were certain ones. For example, I would sell with one auction house and I would just get random checks, like with no accounting. I wouldn't know what in the world happened. It was just very poor communication. So I knew I didn't want to do that. The other thing is, as a buyer and a seller, I felt like all of the other auctions out there, it was extremely slow to get your item listed. And then it's usually like a quarterly auction, a monthly auction. And so pretty quickly on, we decided, look, like I always call it the drive-through mentality. Like nobody wants to wait, right? You want to go to the site, you want to see what you can bid on, and you want to be able to bid on it and very quickly. So that's where the daily auction was born. The first day we had, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the website Woot. I think it's still around. But my dad was like hardcore into Woot. It's a website where you go and they kind of started where it was one deal per day. So like you had to go every day, you had to check it out, and you either get it or you miss it. And so my dad was like religiously on Woot every day. And so that's what I kind of thought. I was like, man, we need to take that kind of concept. Like I want people to come back to the site every single day. So the daily auction was going to be, look, there's one item every day. You got to be here to see it. Well, that was the first day. And then obviously quickly, it started growing very rapidly after that. And the daily auction has kind of become our staple, I think. What keeps people come back every day. There's brand new stuff. It's a 24-hour auction, typically 1,000+ auctions. So it's pretty significant. And there's some real nice stuff in there. So that's kind of become our staple.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I when I jump in auctions, there are times where it could be an 8-day auction or a 10-day auction or a 16-day auction. And you're kind of just like constantly checking to see. And then maybe they don't reset for those 8, 10, 16 days. So to have that daily, kind of refresh is definitely a nice touch for sure. And I'm sure people appreciate that.
And really, most of the action happens kind of at the end anyways. So it was always, there's still a place for longer auctions for more unique, more valuable stuff. Sometimes it just makes sense. But, most people are waiting for the last minute anyways. So, and then we've gotten even more, the daily was kind of a crazy concept. It was a sort of a new concept in the market. But then we started, now we have a 10-minute auction even. So though daily wasn't long enough or was too long, now we have every auction, 10 auctions every 10 minutes. And it's just like throughout the day, just keep cycling. And then beyond that, now we added a live auction. So it's literally like 10-second auctions. So,
I was going to say, you have like that 15-second just like go, one after the other.
Yeah, and we've put some pretty primo stuff in there too. I mean, we've had multiple 5-figure items that have gone through that live auction.
I saw the
concept,
Kobe the other day. You had that beautiful
there's
card.
been some. We've sold some Jordans. We've sold Jordan authentic upper deck jersey. We've sold Jordan rookie cards. You know, we keep that pretty spicy, we call it. So there's some pretty spicy stuff rolling through that live auction. Yeah.
So do you feel like those quick auctions, are they kind of like a loss leader for you guys? Is it something just to kind of bring people in, or do you actually see that you guys are making some, you know, significant money on those auctions?
You know, both. You know, we use a lot of, I mean, it's high risk. You know, we put, when I bring a 5-figure card in, you know, we use that as a marketing tool, of course, to get eyes on it. I mean, my hope on those is like, hey, if I can break even, like I'm okay, because it brought a lot of eyes and we just break even on the deal. But for the most part, they've been pretty strong. Like there's been some wins and losses. You know, actually just yesterday, we had a Patrick Mahomes rookie auto that should have been 3,000, went for 2. So, but those are good because I want there to be those deals too. If every card went for the comp, you know, how many people are going to keep showing up? So
true.
So that's also a marketing tool, you know, that we should brag about those ones more than anything else.
Yeah. Right. So with you being an autograph guy, right? How important has autograph verification been over the last couple of years, especially, you know, for Pristine Auctions? Obviously, we know what happened about a month or so ago with the Mr. Man Cave stuff and all the publicity that got. So how important has that been for you guys in making sure that you putting stuff on the auctions that are, you know, verified and you can trust that those autographs are good? Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing more important. You know, that's why, and again, going back to kind of the origin of Pristine Auction, having a safe place. You know, there are some marketplaces out there, you know, we know many of them that are a Wild West. You know, you get everybody who's been collectibles, I can almost guarantee you, has been burned at some point down line. And the scary part is when you're really in the business, you realize how good some of those fakes get. You know, I'm sure that'll be a conversation later. But the other part kind of addressed on that is what happened recently is nothing new. It was very public. But I mean, we've been fighting stuff like that forever. I mean, you guys know better than anybody, right? And that's part of why this partnership is so important. But you know, and it's getting better and better as technology gets better. As unfortunately, the amount of bad people in this world is shocking, especially if you're on any kind of business and you get burned in every way you can possibly imagine. And unfortunately, that's only going to get worse, not better. So. There's nothing more important to you know, our reputation, the trust we built with our customers is the most important thing that we need to protect, you know, at all costs. So anything we can do to add that extra layer is extremely important. So
absolutely. So with that, the relationship with GOAT, Eric and Wes, you guys could probably talk to this. How did this relationship kind of come about? Was it a specific instance that happened where it was like, hey, we need to do something about this? Or was it just through, you know, kind of connections and relationships?
Yeah, I can speak to it a little bit and maybe you guys jump in, but I'm going to try to, maybe we can kind of reminisce. I'm trying to remember. I do believe there were a couple times down line where we were contacted by you guys on an autograph that appeared to be authentic, looked like appropriate authentication. And you guys brought it to my attention. And then, and hopefully you attest to this, but I've always been, man, when something's brought to our attention, authenticity wise, we always err on the side of caution. So we always take immediate action. This is before our partnership. And then as we continue to communicate, you know, I think we decided, hey, why don't we make this more of a direct partnership and ensure that every item, like I want to be proactive, not reactive. So let's make sure every item has the stamp on it from the foremost experts, no matter what other authentication is on that piece. So anyways, so you guys, I guess you were asked the question and I jumped in there. So.
No, well, absolutely.
Wes, not to cut you off, but I think that's a testament to Pristine and how dedicated you are to your customer base, because I think that most of the first reaction from somebody that's going to get an email from Wes or Eric or anybody like that is going to be, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Don't tell me that my stuff is fake. I know my stuff is real. And they would just dismiss them. So I think that does speak volumes to how much you care about the customers and what you guys are putting out there.
Yeah. Well, and especially when obviously there's a loss involved in that, right? Like as a seller, it's easy to dismiss that because it looks like it's appropriate. Like I'm just going to let it go. You know, we're a family-owned business. We don't have any investors. We don't have to answer anybody. Not saying that that's what always comes into play, but it certainly is a factor, right? So we always are going to make the best decision for our reputation, for our customers, regardless of what that means in terms of bottom line for Pristine. That's the most important, especially as a collector myself. I feel that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, you guys speak to that. I keep cutting you off. Sorry.
That's okay. I just want to say thank you, Jared, because yes, you have always been, proactive when we have reached out to you. Other auction houses, kind of, they'll kind of like tippy toe the line of like taking action, where you have kind of just hit the ground running. Like, I'm looking into this, I'm going to check it out. And you've always been responsive. And I think it's one of the big reasons why Eric and I, and just Go Authentics in general, partner with you, because you showed that there is a desire to get this right. You really wanted to make sure that the clients and the customers were getting a real authentic item, and you weren't just going to stand behind a sticker. Unfortunately, there are other auction houses or other companies or individuals that stand behind a sticker, but as we know, that sticker doesn't matter anymore, especially with what happened with Mr. Man Cave. And to give an example, there was actually a JSA item that you had in your auction. This is going back a while. This is right before we partnered up. And it was brought to your attention and you jumped on it. You even reached out to JSA, and, kudos to JSA as well, because they agreed that the item was indeed a fake. And both Jared and JSA removed the item from the auction and from the JSA database, and that's the kind of, I think, proactive reactions that we do want in this industry, is not to just hide behind something, but to approach something with an open mind and look deeper.
Yeah, it's a tough, it's not an exact science, as you know, and opinions.
Of course not.
I think even the foremost experts, the opinions can change over time based off new information. So we always want to stay ahead of that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So with the relationship that you guys have now and the partnership that you guys have created, how do you think that this, Jared, this for you, how do you think that this kind of reshapes the industry and the way that we do authenticate stuff? Obviously, everybody knows the Beckett's, the PSA, and the JSA and stuff, but with companies like GOAT, do you see more companies like GOAT kind of popping up and partnering, with companies like yourself? Like, where do you think that this kind of relationship kind of jumps off to?
Yeah, I mean, what I love about the GOAT concept, and it's tough to replicate, but Wes and Eric are foremost experts in one or two or three specific autographs, and that's a challenge. Like, they become the foremost experts in it. Now, even the best authenticators on the planet, the ones that we accept in our auction house, you can't be an expert on all things. It's a highly educated opinion, but they're not studying every autograph to the level that Wes and Eric are on the guys that they authenticate. In a perfect world, there would be highly reputable companies like GOAT on every subject. Obviously, that's impossible. But man, it'd be nice if there was, right? And make our life a lot easier. So at least for those who are trying to do the right thing. So, absolutely. I love the concept. I love the confidence it gives us and our customers in those specific athletes. And man, we'll see if there are very few, but other companies that do kind of similar things. The Beatles, very specific genre, very specific subject that they're the expert in. So yeah, I mean, it gives our customers that next level of confidence. It gives us that next level of confidence that the item that we're offering is absolutely authentic. So it's a huge addition for us. So
when these guys, that first email or those first couple of emails that you got from Wes and Eric, what was the process like for you guys to vet guys like Wes and Eric, who maybe you never heard of before, you have never spoken to them before, and somebody comes in and tells you that something is not authentic? How do you guys go through the process of saying, hey, are these guys right or wrong? And do we entertain the emails that they're sending us? Yeah, no, that's a great question, because we really do look. We don't get it. Most of the stuff on our site is very well authenticated and really without doubt. There's always one or two that come up, and in every case we do look into it. In their case, I was familiar with the GOAT Authentics, especially because of the Facebook group that was up that people go to get authenticity opinions, and so I knew there was already a reputation there and an expertise. So it was at least enough. I knew enough at least to say, hey, these guys, this opinion carries some weight. We need to look into this and see. So
we always want to err on the side of caution. So we can't take every inquiry we don't carry every inquiry at the same weight, but
Right.
when someone's contacting you that clearly understands the subject that they're concerned about, then we're gonna take a little quicker action for sure.
Yeah.
And as
Wes
a
and
general
Eric.
rule, like authenticity guarantee is one of our staples. So
Sure.
we always ensure that even down line if a concern is raised, because like we said, even the foremost experts' opinions can change. So that is why it's so important to buy from a reputable site at all times. Make sure you know where it came from, make sure you know where to go back to if there ever is an issue down line. So we'll always take care of our customers. Absolutely.
Yep. So Eric, when you guys send out an email to a company like Pristine, are you guys like shocked when somebody comes back and they have a positive kind of response to you guys, or do you just send them out assuming that you're never going to hear back from them, or it's going to be a negative response? Like, how do you guys?
I don't think we tried to make any assumptions on it. There are some folks that are actually interested in knowing, or in hearing a number of different opinions on what they're moving and selling, and then there are others that are just comfortable with that one sticker, and that is good enough. So I just wanted to give Jared some credit for evolving the way that his company operates with authentication. He's following the trend of the quality of the forgeries that we're seeing out there. So as the forgeries evolve, it would be nice if we continue to see different companies and auction houses evolve with how they want or need their different forms of authentication, And Wes and I obviously carry the Jordan branch of GOAT, and the quality of the Jordan fakes we're seeing are just mind-blowing. I mean, we're seeing fake holograms, fake COAs, fake SIGs that are pretty damn good, honestly. And they are evolving every day. I mean, you have to think about it. If a forger is pulling in, whatever, $4 to $8 grand a pop with every item that actually gets by, they're going to be motivated to work on this 24/7. And I think that's what we're seeing. So just kudos to Jared with keeping up with this trend that we're seeing.
How many times a week do people tell you two to go to hell? I'm interested.
Often. Yeah.
Not your wives, like who you're emailing about.
It's usually the quick opinion guys that submit an item, and
100%.
the story is I got it in person, my relative worked for the Chicago Bulls, or somebody was a police officer or security, and a lot of times the signatures are like there's not even a question, like they're fake. But then the other times there's like the clubhouse signature or the secretarial, which has no ill intention. So whoever maybe walked the item back into the stadium or the locker room and they came back out, unfortunately it wasn't MJ that signed it.
Yep. So Jared, I know that now knowing that you are a collector yourself, I know Wes and Eric are collectors as well. So I would consider us to be hobbyists, right? But investors have really jumped into the ring, mostly in the trading card space. I feel maybe not as much in the memorabilia space, although there probably are. Have you seen like a drastic shift in maybe the prices that some of the items are going for now because they're investors with big money that are jumping in and kind of taking it away from the hobbyists? Or have you not really seen any drastic changes over the last few years?
For autographs, I think it's 2020 seemed to be kind of a shift where you just saw more people jumping in. It was kind of an interesting deal because, I thought the business was at risk. I was like, who in this environment are gonna, there's all this uncertainty, are gonna be buying autographed memorabilia? And it had the opposite effect. Everybody's stuck at home, they're online, they're looking for kind of side hustles to flip memorabilia. So, we almost saw the opposite effect. But one thing that I've always noticed with autographed memorabilia is that, a lot of people think like, hey, somebody's going to buy one Michael Jordan jersey and it's going to they're going to hang it on their wall, and they do that. There is that element of that's the collector. But there's the investor that at some price point is going to buy every single one they can purchase because, again, that same kind of deal, they're kind of waiting to flip it. It's a little bit different than trading cards. Like trading cards is a little more speculation and long-term investing and even some short-term investing. But, memorabilia is similar, but maybe treated a little bit differently than the sports cards are. But, same environment. It's kind of the same the same mentality is there. It's more I kind of see it more like the shoe culture, the hustling, the flipping, I'll buy
Buying
1,000 of
from
those at
one
the right
table,
price
selling
and
at another. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I'll buy 1,000 at the right price and I'll go down the street and hop on Facebook groups and make a couple bucks each, So at some level, and that's what I think Pristine over the years has, kudos to our marketing team. What we've done so well is we've always really looked for the collector first. Because the collector really kind of drives that price to the next level because, they only want one of them, but you got to find a lot of collectors, to keep those prices rolling. So,
yeah, for sure. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen come through you guys for auction, whether it's something like super unique or something where you're just like, wow, I can't believe somebody even has something like this. What have you seen come through there where you were just like, wow, this is unbelievable?
Well, so we're really built more on volume. We certainly get very, very nice product, but our whole entire auction is really built a little more on volume than those exceptionally rare pieces. We have had some. We had a piece that was a multi-frame piece that had every presidential signature. I think it was up till either Obama or Trump, but it was every single presidential signature, and it was really well done. Like a cut that was kind of similar size, kind of the presidential photo above it, and really, really well done. So that was one of the top pieces that we've sold. That's the one that stands out to me. We get 5-figure plus items kind of on the regular, but that's the one that I remember. Even on the lives, that's kind of what's foremost in my mind these days. But we just sold an Abraham Lincoln autograph through the live auction. So that was that was a pretty wild experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was one of those 5-figure items that we put on there semi-regularly.
I think Wes bought that, right, Wes? That was you.
That was me. Yeah.
So, Jared, have you ever seen something come into your office and you're like, man, if this thing wasn't going to auction, I want this. Like, this would have been like a grail for me or something that I would have had in my collection. Did you ever see anything like that passed by and you were like, man, I wish I had that?
Yeah, over the years, you kind of get desensitized because you see a lot of the same stuff rolling through, right? But there's always an item or two that makes me stop in my tracks a little bit and be like, man, that's a nice piece. But my PC is a little different. I do autograph memorabilia. In fact, I'm looking at it. I sent Wes and Eric. I had a few Jordan pieces in my collection. I held my breath a little when I showed them to them because I'm like, oh man, I hope I did these right. And thankfully, they all passed fine. But like the Wings poster I have over here, that's one of my favorite pieces. I've got a Iron Man, full size Iron Man from Sideshow, signed by Robert Downey Jr. That's one of my favorite pieces. So I've got a few pieces like that have made their way into my collection. But there's always inevitably some things that roll by my desk that make me stop in my tracks a little bit. But it's also a lot of repetition, over the years, because we do volume. So you see a lot of similar things too.
Right.
Wonder how some guys can sign their name so many times, both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. Is your PC anything like hyper specific, or is it just like really cool stuff that you just like? Or do you collect like certain people or certain, types of memorabilia, or how do you kind of build your PC?
Yeah, it's kind of what catches my eye on the autograph side. I'm kind of looking around. Some things are a little more sentimental. I've got like some NASCAR stuff I've gotten over the years. We've done some sponsorship in NASCAR. And so a lot of my PC has become NASCAR, some helmets that were used, like that we sponsored, things like that. My sports card collection is one of one NASCAR. So the nice thing is it's a little more affordable, but 101 NASCAR cards, and then being here in Phoenix, Devin Booker and then Steve Nash in a Suns jersey are the PC cards that I hang on to. As far as memorabilia, it's just stuff that really catches my eye. I like Marvel stuff. I'm kind of into Star Wars stuff, and then just stuff that really catches my eye. As far as when I was collecting, I've got a few pieces that I hang on to, and I'm thankful I did. So I got a Kobe basketball he signed for me. I got a Kobe jersey he signed for me. And, I'm thankful I had to sell a lot of my collection. That's how we started the business. It started with my collection before we started really picking up consigners. So most of that went, but, I was thankful I hung on to a few pieces that are pretty special that I still have.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with, obviously, the past couple of years, a lot's changed, especially on the technology side of things, right? So what is Pristine doing with the newer technology, AI, blockchains, things like that? Have you guys integrated any of that into what you're doing now, or are you kind of like building towards things like that? Because AI is obviously here. It's also going to be the future. And, what are you guys seeing on that side of the space?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty bullish on that, and so we're starting to integrate it. It's kind of a slow burn to get it all integrated, but on the card listing side, we're working with some companies that integrate with that and make the listing process a lot faster and easier. On the marketing side, we're doing it to kind of do some image creation and some some of the text, things like that on our marketplace. We had AI go through and rewrite every single listing to be more to just be more robust and be better for search engine optimization. So there's things like that we've done, but those would be considered somewhat elementary for what can be done with AI these days. So we're working on it. It's something that we have our eyes on, and we're going to see what we can do for sure.
Yeah,
there's a lot there.
Wes, what do you think about? Do you think that, Wes and Eric, do you guys think that AI technology is going to help the authentication process going forward? Or do you think it's still going to be a kind of like hands-on visual thing?
Wes and I have talked a lot about this, actually. I think it's difficult to know exactly where it's going to go. I would imagine that it will play a role at some point. I think that that's inevitable. But I think with the variations that go into a signature, whether it be like environment or setting or style or era, there's always going to be such a human element to it. Like, that's what a signature is, So I think it's always going to require the eyes of experts, but I am just hoping we can use AI as a tool as we kind of learn how to harness it in a space. And I honestly don't know what that's going to look like eventually, but I'm sure it'll play a role at some point.
Picture is two-dimensional, and I don't know if AI could pick up all the little intricacies, the pressure and the indentations. I don't know if it, like Eric said, if it could completely replace the human element of it. There is actually currently a website that attempts to do this with any autograph, and I've tested it out, and it's like the highest percentage that it says on any autograph that is legitimate that was submitted is like, this is a 67% chance of being authentic. I'm not buying an autograph with a 67% chance of being authentic, so scratch that. But yeah, I mean, at some point, AI will improve, but I don't think it's ever going to replace the need for in-person authentication.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's going to be a lot better in eliminating a forgery, an obvious forgery. That's
Correct.
where I think it could be a tool that would actually work. But I totally agree with you. I think it's a long ways from giving you full confidence, like a human with expertise, that it's an authentic autograph. It is good. Like, who signed this? We get those all the time. Like, hey, who signed this? Yeah. That's a fantastic tool for that. You usually can knock it out pretty quick. So
that's true.
Yeah, that's a great tool for that for sure. So you think Wes and Eric will still have jobs going forward? Is that what you're saying?
I think they're safe. I think they're safe for now. Yeah. I mean, hey, who knows where? Man, AI is in its infancy in a lot of ways too. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. They kind of say you can teach a machine to do anything you can teach a human to do, but and they'll do it better. But we'll see. To be determined on stuff like that.
Time will tell.
I think they're the safest right now, I think.
Hey, Jared, what are you most excited about?
Oh, sorry.
No, get Eric. Go for it.
No, I was gonna hijack your agenda for a second, if you don't mind, because I have Jared in front of me, and I have always wondered this, Jared. So, I have always admired what you've been doing with Pristine. I was participating in auctions, I don't know, probably 10 or 8, 9, 10 plus years ago, whatever it was. And one thing I did just always notice is, like, I noticed that you would post the videos of you opening cards with your son and stuff. Like, is this a hobby that you share with your family and with your children, or is it just more of a personal thing to you?
Yeah, it's I wish they were more interested in it than they were. We'll see. To be determined. I've got a 15, a 10, and a 5. My 15-year-old Bentley is the one who, for a while, we had like a box breaking business, there's kind of a history there that's kind of fun. But when we adopted our youngest son, who's now 5, we were stuck in Utah for like a few weeks, because in order for the paperwork to go through. And so, I got to do something. So I just found some card shops, hopped onto the Pristine Facebook group. And I'm like, hey guys, you want to do some box breaks? I'm kind of stuck in a hotel. So that's where that was born. And then Bentley, that progressed a little bit, Bentley would do some box breaks with me. And that was a lot of fun. We did that for a while.
I was thinking about that. Like, so what would you say is your purpose? Like, what is driven you to navigate through what I would imagine? I mean, I'm sure when you're just starting a business, and I heard recently you guys broke $100 million in sales. So
Congrats, man.
Congratulations on that. Like, that's unbelievable, unfreaking believable. But what would you say has been your purpose to like navigate through hard times that I'm sure have popped up while you've been working your way up the mountaintop?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I think, I think at the foremost is my passion for collecting. I think I'm always thankful that I'm doing something that I'm interested in, not just selling widgets of something that I'm not passionate about. I think my level of care would be completely different. And I think you can sometimes sniff out a company like that, right? Where it's like, I think they're kind of just in it for the wrong reasons. So, I think that myself and surrounding myself with the team, I know my strengths and my weaknesses. And so I've always been blessed with a really good team here that's really covered my back on some of the weaknesses. And that's really allowed us to grow. But yeah, I mean, absolutely passionate. I'm just driven by that passion, really. And so we'll see. I don't know if my kids are going to share the passion. We'll see what happens beyond that. But at this point, we're having fun. So we'll just keep driving. It can be. Yeah. That's why I like NASCAR cards. A little cheaper.
Yeah. Hopefully my kids stick to Funko or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just personally, man, just watching you guys grow from those early days to where you are now, it has just been an absolute pleasure watching that happen. So just wanted to give you your kudos because it's deserved and earned. So
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it doesn't feel deserved, but it's funny because I look back at the humble beginnings of our business. We started the website with like a $2,000 check to some guys in Canada that built it, and it was archaic. It was miserably bad. But in some ways, it really shouldn't have worked. Glory to God, He's really blessed it. We couldn't have done it on our own. So a great team around me, and His blessing is really what's made it work. Beyond that, sometimes I kind of shrug my shoulders and. Just blessed, man. It's been fun.
Yeah. I mean, even with the vitrine stuff that we've been doing, I mean, we started it 3 years ago. And when I look back at the first rendition that we had 3 years ago, I'm like, what the hell are we thinking? This thing looks terrible. It functions terrible. I mean, this is just, it's a cat and mouse game with stuff like this. We're always going to want to do better. You're always going to want to evolve. You're always going to want to, kind of retool things and stuff like that. But I think that's a testament to, your dedication to the hobby and to your business. And, if you're passionate about it, you're always going to want to be better.
Yeah, and you can't wait for perfection, because if you do, you're never going to get anything done.
I fell into that. I fell into that trap, and just not pushing.
It's hard.
Yeah, just saying, we can't do this until this is done. We got to do this, but you just got to get it out there and see what the world thinks, and then you can kind of have all those iterations afterwards. But yeah, that's the whole part. It's getting past that for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep. Wes, do you have anything? We're getting to the 40?
We're about 35-minute mark.
Yeah. So, do you guys have anything that we haven't touched on that you guys wanted to talk to Jared about, just so that we make sure we get everything in?
Yeah, no, 100%. Likewise. Yeah, thank you for what you guys do. Yeah, I've seen a lot of partnership announcements, which is exciting. I mean, the more the better, for what you guys do. Well, I want the whole entire marketplace, every other one to be just as safe. So
exactly. Yep. We all have to work together. We're not trying to beat each other down. It's about just making the hobby safe and clean.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I'm not crying. No, I swear I'm not. No, but Jared, thank you very much. We appreciate the time today for sure. Hopefully we could do another one, in the near future. But this was awesome. Really, really great to meet you too. I was really excited about this one. Happy we got it done, even though Wes doesn't know what Mountain Standard Time is.
Hey, look, so I'm not even going to.
We figured it out. We're all here.
We figured it out, and I appreciate you jumping on at the last second like that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Happy to, guys. Yeah, thank you for what you all do, and I'm happy to hop on anytime. Let me know.
Awesome.
Wishing you the best, man.
You got it.